So, hi everyone, I'm Donna Kuenzler and welcome to the first session of the OvfabpinayTips. Our topic for today is connecting people before your move abroad. So, let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay, so welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. So, let's start. So, first, a little something about me. My name is Donna Kuenzler. I'm originally from Bacoor, Cavite in the Philippines. I've been based overseas for almost 20 years now. So I left Philippines back in 2001. I have lived in Singapore, San Jose, California in the US, London in UK, Basel in Switzerland, and I'm currently based in Zurich in Switzerland. And I'm also the author of the Overseas Fabulous Pinay, a modern Filipina's handbook on how to thrive abroad, so which I published just back in March. Okay. So our topic for today is about connecting. So when we talk about connecting, what exactly does this mean? So in what context? So when we say connect, we mean making contact, engaging with people, reaching out, communicating, and basically just talking to someone. So why should we connect? So why bother, right? So if we're moving abroad. So first is insider information. So maybe if you're planning or preparing for your move overseas, you're already doing a lot of research. So you're looking at blogs, looking at websites, or looking at travel books, like living in whatever city guidebooks. But then, if you talk to people directly, you may find that you will get additional information that are not necessarily in those books or those published material. For example, let's say you want to live in a certain area, so a person might be able to give you more insight, such as the place may not be, it may be a dodgy place or not safe in general, or that the community is really good, so it's good for expats. So you will get those types of information. And also, when you connect with people, you tend to get more up-to-date information. So let's say now, especially now during the pandemic, let's say you need to move to Spain. So you might be wondering, like, how safe is it really to move right now, or should we wait more? How is the government? How are the people reacting to the whole situation? So you can get more it's really more up to date, so it's yeah, kind of real time. So, and let's say if there's a recession happening, so you will know more about, is it really hard to live there at the moment, maybe you should wait, or maybe it's the time to move now, to if you want to purchase something like property, now is a good time to invest. So those kinds of tips. And lastly, if you do connect with people, then sometimes it happens that you have instant friends. So if they are referred by other friends as well, so based on the connection that you have, so basically it gives some credibility to the type of connection, right? And if fortunately you kind of you're compatible with the people, then they also become your friends when you move to that destination. So that's why it's also important to really reach out to the people. And what you will find is a lot of people are willing to help, and they do have a soft spot, especially if you have a good connection. Let's say either you're coming from the same hometown back in the Philippines, or you studied in the same school, or a common friend, which is like a close friend of theirs. So it kind of vouches for your personality as well because you're associated with those people and you're instantly welcomed into their community. Okay. So when is it good to connect or to start connecting with people? It's really advisable to connect before your move as part of your planning and preparation phase. So, in relation to the things that I have mentioned earlier on the main benefits of connecting with people, because the information that you will get, it might still influence your overall decision about your target destination. For example, maybe you're planning to go and live abroad to improve your English language skills, and you were thinking of Scotland. And it's well, maybe you don't know, but in Scotland it's really hard to understand their accent, so that might not really fulfill your objective, right? So that's a simple case of, it might influence your overall decision. So maybe you want to move to London instead, or England, somewhere in England instead of Scotland. And next is it may impact the actual timing of your move. Another example, let's say you're moving to a very cold country like Iceland and or somewhere in Scandinavia, and you've never experienced winter before. So with talking to people, you may get an idea of really how hard the winter can be in those countries. So you may want to reschedule your actual move. So maybe you want to move during spring or summer or fall so that you will ease into the weather before you're like diving straight to the harsh winter weather. And it may also impact the logistics of your move. So when you're planning your move, of course, you need to plan where you need to stay, what you have to pack, or what you need to wear. So even though, let's say, weather-wise, we know that it's winter, spring, summer, or fall, but right now it's kind of erratic. And let's say you're planning to fly next week already, you may want to check with the people, your connections, like how is the weather really, what should I pack, and this is very important. Let's say it's still very cold, especially winter gear. You don't necessarily want to bring it. They're normally heavy in your suitcase, so that's a big decision. So should you actually like give it to the movers, or should you pack it in your suitcase just in case? So with that additional information, it helps you then to plan properly for your actual trip. And finally, it's really good to already have connections in case you will need help before or upon your arrival. So in some cases, maybe you need somewhere to crash to first, until you find a flat. And I have experienced this myself. When I moved to US, I actually got connected to a batchmate in university, which I did not necessarily know before, but it's a friend of my friend. So we got connected, and I actually stayed with them for a few weeks until I was able to find a flat. So that was very helpful. Another thing is, yeah, you may want someone to really show you around the locality until you get used to certain things like taking public transport, or orienting yourself with the place. So it's really nice. Yeah. And then another thing that I thought of is you might also need an address to, a temporary address where your shipment will be delivered. So that may also help, right? So if you don't have a permanent address yet, you can actually provide the address of your connection. Okay. So who do you want to connect with? So not just any people. So it's very important that you can connect to people who are currently there. So obviously, if they're living there now, so the information that you will get is really fresh, up to date. And it's also nice to connect with people who have recently lived there. So let's say 1 or 2 years maybe who have been there, because they can give you some insights on how it's like, how was it like to live in that place, what are the pros and cons, right? And also people who are planning to live there, because just like yourself, when you're planning to live there, you're probably doing a lot of research, so you can actually compare notes with these people. If there might be some information or decisions that may impact depending on what you talk about, either in terms of work or in terms of where to live, and when to go there, when to move, or even compare notes with what suppliers you're using, like your movers, what, even like airline tickets that you will get. Yeah. Now, how do you connect with people? So if you see this diagram, so this just shows how connected we are in general. If you've heard of the saying, like, we're the six degrees of separation, right? So everyone is connected somehow. And similarly, so use your network. With your network, you'll never know. You might already get some connections through them. So you have your family, your friends, colleagues, customers, suppliers, and your existing social groups, right? So all you need to do is ask. Tell them, that you're moving. So do they know anyone who lives in your target destination, or people who have recently lived or also planning to move to that destination, and to actually connect you. Okay, so, and if they do connect you, so make sure that, once you've been introduced, you also do your part and do the follow up. So it's not simply like, if you were introduced via email or message, right, that you're just quiet. So once you're introduced, you say like, oh, thank you for introducing me, and hello, it's nice to meet you. And then you kind of propose like how you want to get in touch, if if face to face is possible, or you do a chat via phone or via messenger or Facebook, Facebook Messenger. um, or you also kind of suggest, do you want to connect regularly, or are they more like, it depends on the type of person, right? Maybe they just want to get all your questions and they will answer right away, or for some, they're okay with you contacting them every now and then if you have questions. So depending on how open they are to connecting. Now, a very important one, if you do not have anyone to connect with, so what do you do? So let's say you tried your network, right? And there's really still no one, really just no one has anyone to connect you with. So don't fret. So there's still a way. So if you don't know anyone, so take note that we have many other resources that you can fall back on. So first is the social network or interest groups. Like in Facebook, what you will find is there are many groups right there. So all you need to do is search for them. You can do keywords like expat in, let's say expats in Dubai, or Filipinos in Italy, architects in, or depending on your occupation, right? Even singles in, or if you're a mothers or moms in a specific country or city, or even parents, parents in, or expat parents in Switzerland or in Zurich. So you definitely can use those. So you have you also have specific expat organizations, so really catering to foreigners living abroad. So an example is Internations. So Internations is a big organization. It's present in many countries. So you can register there as a member. You don't necessarily need to pay, but I think it depends on the type of membership that you have, on how extensively you can join the communities and engage. There's also couch surfing. So couch surfing, of course, has a different kind of objective. It's more of, it started out as it's either you want to host a person, or you want to actually stay with the person on their couch. But what most people don't know is they have community groups as well, and I have used them personally. uh, they have community boards, so you can join those, and there are also communities or groups that cater specifically to newcomers or newbies in a town, and you can ask all your questions there. They're very accommodating. um what else? What you will find as well is, if you go to the Philippine embassies, the Philippine embassy websites, they normally have links or a list of Filipino organizations in that certain country. So you can also tap into those, right? And search for, a specific Filipino group that interests you. You can join and you can start engaging with people. Alumni groups is also a good resource. So check your university or even your profession. Typically there's like a Philippine Association of maybe accountants that's based in California, or let's say alumni groups of UP College of Law alumni group based in New York, let's say. Huh? So you can tap those. And other groups, let's say you're more interested in women's groups, so there's Lean In is now global as well. It's become a community group now. And then Meetup is very good. It's generally, as the term implies, it people use it to meet up with people that they have commonalities with. And you may find also groups in Meetup that's specific to newcomers or newbies in a certain town, or people planning to move to. You have to be very specific in terms of um, what group you want to join. So in essence, the key thing here is, search for your community, because in the specific community, if you have commonalities, it's easier to talk to people. You have some common interests, maybe in hobbies or professions, and yeah, and then you can start talking to those people, and you will find that they're also interested or more open to engage because the topic is very appropriate. So let's say you join a photography group, but then you're talking about, your concerns are more about the logistics of moving there, which has nothing to do with being a photographer. Then it doesn't make sense, right? So it has to be aligned. Maybe you have like foreigner photographers based in a certain city, and you want to talk about, how is it like for a foreigner to really establish yourself in a given city. Then it makes sense, right? So make sure that whenever you join these groups, your objectives are aligned with also the type of groups that you join. Okay, if you did enjoy this presentation, so please, yeah, I mean, there's more guidance and practical tips that can be found in the Overseas Fabulous Pinay book. And you can get my book. You can go to the website, so ovfabpinay.com/books, or it's also available in major online retail shops like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, IndieBound, and much more. Okay, so it's basically available predominantly everywhere. Okay. And lastly, so please, yeah, if you enjoyed this session, please do follow me. So I'm in the website is www.ovfabpinay.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And my account is at Ovfabpinay. So thank you everyone for joining. And that's it for now.